What's up, Total War is here, fans? Got another great one for you today. This is going to be the Siege of Condominium. And yes, we're back at Condominium, and I feel like I do a lot of replays from these cities, from this city. I mean, of course, you always, in Rome 2, I feel like it's a lot of just like the set cities, Condominium, Tolfredom. Those are the two barbarian ones that I'm thinking of right now. Rome, you see a lot of that with the replays of the Rome versus barbarians. Yeah, the scenario type things. I don't feel like Carthage is a good one that people play a lot. Yeah, I don't personally like Carthage. I don't like the city setup. It's kind of hard to defend and kind of hard to attack, just because of the low deployment zone for the attackers. But anyway, that's beside the point. My preferences on how to attack, or on cities that I play, is not relevant to what we're doing right now. So anyway, we're gonna have Seleucid, Getae, and there's not a third army on the field right now for the attackers, but trust me, there is one. It's going to show up later. It's going to be the Lusitani. We'll go over their army when they show up. They're a little late for the battlefield. They didn't get the memo of when to start, but we'll forgive them. So I'm going to be playing as Syracuse here on the defending side. It's going to be thorax swords. These are all going to have level 3 chevrons. So these are going to be extremely dangerous units here. I'm going to slow this down, because they move up fast. The thorax swords here are going to have level 3 chevrons. Like I said, it's going to be dangerous. Then we're going to have mercenary veteran hoplites. And then over here, 2 Thurio spears, 3 Samnite warriors. And then up here, we're going to have 2 Balearic slingers and 2 archers there, as well as 2 pikemen up here. And then the thorax hoplites. So for Galatia, my ally, we're going to have deployables here. And yes, no matter how bad deployables are, we do have them. I was not the one to bring them. One of my allies was. And so I apologize for those of you who think that deployables are cheating. But I guess they weren't really cheating. So I guess I shouldn't apologize, because they were, I guess, in the rules. So it wasn't cheating. So I don't apologize. I take that back. I retract that statement. So it's going to be Galatian Legionnaires, of course, because that's all you ever bring when you play as Galatia. And it's going to be a lot of Galatian Legionnaires. Just like scores and scores of Galatian Legionnaires. Then a Galatian Nobleman for a general. And I think that... Oh, then there's the 3 mercenary Syrian archers and the Celtic Slinger. There was a Levy Freeman around here somewhere. I just got to find it. There it is. Okay, so there was a Levy Freeman as well for Galatia. I knew there was one somewhere. It was bugging me that I couldn't find it. And then we're going to have Ereverni also helping us out. It's going to be the Chosen Swords, of course. A lot of Chosen Swords. We're going to have 1 Oathsworn, 2 Oathsworns. We're also going to have a Scorpion here, a Celtic Scorpion. Then the Chosen Swords, the Gallic Hunters, 4 Gallic Hunters, and then the rest of the army is going to be Chosen Swords. So good setups by Galatia. I really like Galatia's setup, actually. And then here for Seleucid, we're going to have thorax swords as the mainline infantry, because that's what everybody brings. I mean, there's just a couple factions that are just so predictable, and Seleucid is one of those. Well, I guess Seleucid not so much, because they have the Royal Peltas and what's the other one? The Silver Shield swords. So yeah, they're not quite as predictable as some. Getty is one very predictable. You either bring spears or noble swords, or then you'll always bring 4 mercenary axe warriors, and then you'll bring a lot of noble swords. If you're a noob, you'll probably bring spears, but we forgive you for that. You just haven't found out the basics of Rome 2. So he's gonna have mercenary axe warriors. Like I said, the first 4 mercenary axe warriors. I see 4 of them right here. Oh no, these are Falksmen. Another one that the noobs probably bring. Though I tend to bring Falksmen sometimes. These guys can hit bloody on the charge, and they will be extremely devastating if you use them correctly. Despite their low armor, they're kind of like a Thracian warrior. So yeah, they are pretty good. So here we have 3 of the mercenary axe warriors. I don't see the 4th. He's got to be around here somewhere. Nobody just brings 3. Well, maybe he does. Who is this? It doesn't say. Okay. But the spear warriors, the Falksmen, and then we're going to have noble swords, and that's about to fill out the army. And then I forgot to mention, you always have the 4 Dacian heavy bowmen, because these guys are good. And he brought a Dacian Giant Ballista for support there. The Dacian heavy, these are Dacian heavy skirmishers. Okay, this is a completely different army setup that I'm calling for this Getty or Dacia. I'm calling the normal composition for mercenary axe warriors, 4 Dacian heavy bowmen, and then just a whole army of noble swords, maybe a few light spears if you're in the mood, or just to fill out your army. But he's got some heavy skirmishers here as well to help fill out his army, because that is part of his skirmishers instead of the heavy bowman. He also has a spear horseman materializing out of the woods. And here's the Lusitani, just in time for me to call them out. We're going to have a front line of veteran shield warriors, 3 of those, and a hall of these Lusitani nobles, 4 of those Lusitani nobles, and then 2 Balearic slingers. And these guys are trained. I mean, these guys are experienced. Level 5 chevrons on both of these units. So these are some expensive. This is an expensive army. He's going the elite route, the elite rather than the numerous, because it looks like he's going to take a cutback in the amount of units he has, because he went more expensive there. So let's see here. We'll speed this back up as Seleucid is entering the walls and is officially in. Now we're going to get a sally by one of the thorax here, and it's going to go up against a thorax. So if I'm calling thorax against thorax, no, this is not a civil war. It's just like they just made one unit and they just threw it into every single army that ever existed, or every single faction. They just took one unit and they threw it into every single army, or every single faction, rather than producing a bunch of different variety units. Now, not to say they don't have a bunch of different units. I mean, there's some units that are special to certain factions, like the Clichian nobles. I don't believe you get those outside of Clochis, Galatian legionnaires, stuff like that. But there's also a lot that are just like, they mixed them in. It's kind of disappointing, but I still enjoy Rome too, so I'm not going to cry about its problems. I'm going to look on the bright side and say it's still a very good game. So over here, 2 kind of lone units of thorax swords are going to attack, and they're going to get shut down by 2 thorax swords of mine. But my thorax swords are going to win every engagement against an enemy thorax because they have the level 3 chevron. So if it comes down to a one-on-one against one of these units, mine is going to triumph unless there's like some sort of archer fire in support, because of those chevrons, the better experience. And then over here, we're going to have some archers. The Syrian heavies are materializing out of the woods here, just coming into our field of view as this thorax of mine has continued on and is going to start attacking the thorax of Seleucid that was bringing up the gallery. So my unit's got 17 kills right there and is moving on as they just took out the first unit that was running the battering ram. Then here, the veteran hoplites. I love this veteran hoplite unit. These guys are amazing, and normally I don't bring spears. I'm honestly against spears in almost any scenario, except for when I'm bringing a faction that has these mercenary veterans. I always make sure to bring my limit, which is unfortunately a limit of 2, but they are brutal units, and they'll take it on this thorax right now, and they're not even that much more expensive than a thorax, which is remarkable because normally swords beat spears in every time. Unless the spears are like really, really good versus like really, really bad, or like medium swords or really bad swords. I think even medium spear swords, like a sword follower from Bowie will beat a Terrari from Rome. That's how proportionally mixed it is, because the Terrari is like 5 times or like $1,000, and the sword followers are just 760 or something like that. But that's beside the point. Now the archers are getting into the backs of my thorax. I don't know how my thorax actually got through to the other side. I apologize if there was push through right there. I didn't mean for that to happen. So I'm sorry. I'm selling another unit of thorax here to fight while my other one goes to run down the archers. We've got another unit of Syrian heavies coming up out of the woods. I'm not going to say materializing again. I've said that too many times already. It's funny how when I'm doing these videos, I suddenly critique how I talk. And let's see. So Lusitani disembarking here brought siege towers out of nowhere. They didn't materialize. They just showed up. Okay. So Falksman here, well, Falksman and a Mercenary Axe Warrior coming around the side for some reason. And Dacia is like in disarray, going back and forth here. They've dismounted their siege towers, and they're now coming over here to help Seleucid, who is getting crushed, if I do say so myself. The veteran shield warriors right here, or the mercenary veteran hoplites beating up those thorax swords, literally and figuratively, is they are going to mutilate that unit, and it is gone. Here some thorax got up in there, but they got surrounded by another thorax, which in turn surrounded them with another thorax. So there's a thorax, and then a thorax from Seleucid, then a thorax from Syracuse, then a thorax from Seleucid, and then a thorax from Syracuse. It's like a sandwich there. But now some Galatian legionnaires going to get in the mix and mix up our whole rhythm. But thankfully they got there, because if they hadn't, we might have died. My units might have died. Now some Hellenic cataphracts for Syracuse, or not Syracuse. Seleucid come up out here, and they attacked. They have 26 kills. They attacked these sallying thorax. This thorax here trying to win out on the fight there. Let's see, we got another unit coming up out of the woods here. It's going to be a silver shield sword, so we've got the devastating punching power of the swords definitely found here. And back here, look at this. Lusitani decided to bring an entire Cav army or something. So Scutari cavalry there, as well as some Iberian cavalry, some Cantabrian cavalry, and another Scutari cavalry. These guys are like, he must have been thinking we were going to sally or something. I don't know, because these guys are, like, he's got a decked out Cav army. Like, you don't normally, but I guess maybe he was doing that to cope the cost of the veteran shield warriors and all the other expensive Balearic slingers and stuff. But even so, he could have brought cheap spears or something. The Lusitani cheap Scutari spearmen or something, or guerrilla spearmen or something, you know, because those would probably be better than cavalry, especially in a siege assault. Or maybe he just played with me before, and one of the times where I went full Sally with an unexpected faction, like Macedon, I came out full Sally, and he was like, oh, I know this guy, I know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to bring a bunch of Hippeus Lancers and just mutilate my lightly armored army, because Lusitani is very vulnerable to that. I don't know, but yeah, he brought cavalry, which is very strange, which is kind of strange. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. He might be able to use that effectively and take the walls here, or once they take the walls and use it to surround us as we try to retreat to the Citadel or something. But I guess you never know. Some players are really good, and they can turn anything into a victory unit. Like, take a Celtic warrior, beat an Oathsworn, just do something random. Now the thorax over here have won despite supporting archer fire come from the Syrian heavies. My thorax did pull out a victory with the help of a chosen sword here, though. So it was not all on me. Araverni did a good job of aiding me in that one. So we did pull out that victory, and now my thorax at 104 and 85 going to march back to the main army there. Meanwhile, over here, we have a bunch of thorax getting routed, and Dacian's noble swords disembarking from the siege towers. And now the Dacian noble swords, one good thing about Dacia is they have some elite sword infantry in these noble swords, but once you got that, you got no lighter infantry. Like, it's either bring your 4 mercenary axe warriors, and then you got nothing to fill out your army. So unless it's extremely high funds, I don't normally bring Dacia. You know, if you got unlimited funds and you can bring the most elite units, I definitely would bring Dacia. I always do in something like that. Not always, but you get the point. I bring those noble swords, and I can normally do pretty good with them, because there's not much that can fight them. Like, if you bring Syracuse, say if the defenders are Syracuse and I come as Dacia, I bring a ton of noble swords. The best unit Syracuse can wield is going to be why am I blanking on their name? This mercenary Samnites. You can only bring 3 of those. Then it's thorax, and these noble swords are going to chew through those thorax and the Samnites. Like, there was nothing there, because these units are extremely good, and it's just a very good unit. But the problem is you've got no lower tier infantry. If Dacia had lower tier infantry, I would bring them almost every game. But now we got some Thurios spears getting their javelin volleys in. And then now Galatia just like hemming in Dacia and Lusitani. The wave after wave of these factions is just pouring over the siege towers and in. Now these Dacians, wow. Dacians right there losing after being surrounded by 2 chosen swords because Araverni's in over here helping us. Araverni was kind of playing like a support player. He knocked down an attack right here from Dacia, a big attack right there from Dacia. And he's just kind of all around. He helped me over here versus Seleucid, which I'm not shipping units back over to this side because of the threatening Silver Shield Swords to climb right there, as well as the Shield Bearers. So I'm moving units back over there. He thankfully left a Chosen Sword over there, which kind of deterred them and gave us enough time to get some stuff over there. Meanwhile, the Thorax here are going to shut down a bunch of Axe Warriors, 3 Axe Warriors, and two Axe Warriors and a Falksman. Sorry, I keep mistaking that Falksman for an Axe Warrior. And then the Veteran Shields, or Veteran Hoplites, 95 kills, and leaving this unit over here at 71. And it looks like it might turn around and try to help with these units here. Meanwhile, the swords, the Thorax at 100 kills. Nobody really picked up this battering ram and tried to break this, despite this gate being like undefended, completely undefended. Nobody's trying that yet, but Seleucid doesn't have a ton of units, really, other than archers. And these 2 elite Silver Shields and Shield Bearers, you don't really want to use those. But if you could break the gate and get Lusitani cavalry in there, it would be really nice, actually. Could be really nice. Let's see. Okay, so the Dacian Ballista now, with 33 kills, was firing in at the Galatian Legionnaires, I think. He's firing, like, I think I just saw a bunch of rounds come down right here. Yeah, right here, attacked by artillery. It said attacked by artillery, then it moved back. We won't see until the next volley where those are headed. But here, the skirmishers, are these are Dacian heavies. Okay, here's where, alright, fire's pouring in like right here. So I think they're aiming like at this blob of infantry. These 3 chosen swords and probably that Galatian Legionnaire there. So yeah, they're firing into that area. Meanwhile, the Thurios spears here, out of javelins, only 16 kills. Kind of disappointing. Not kind of. Really, really disappointing, Thurios. Step up your game or you will get fired. We can hire Sam Knights or Thorax, and they will do twice as good as you're doing right now. Don't know why I'm talking to a bunch of characters on a video game that like can't even do anything about what I'm saying. They can't even hear me. But I mean, like, they'll take my threat seriously anyway. Let's see. Okay, archer fire pouring in from the Syrians, straight up and into these Lusitani nobles who are feeling that pain right there. I mean, look at that. Losing, they're taking fire. Wow, all these guys are losing, and it's because of that archer fire and support. Because you know those 2 Galatian Legionnaires aren't beating 3 Lusitani nobles. That just doesn't happen. Meanwhile, the Thurios spears got back to the Balearic slingers. They heard my threat, and they are trying something new. They're going to try to kill the enemy's slingers, get those units out of the game, which wouldn't be a bad idea because they would be extremely valuable if we could get rid of them. Meanwhile, here we're going to have the archers out of ammo at 96 kills, going to pick up the battering ram, like I said, and they're going to try it, possibly, and break the gate. But I saw it because they were too slow, and I have a veteran hoplite waiting for them with 117 kills already, just waiting for them to enter. So I'm going to leave 1 Thorax over here to guard against this tower. If these 2 towers with that chosen sword, and move the rest of my army back over after the threat of the Thorax or of the Silver Shields and the Shield Bearers has gone away. They're no longer threatening to climb that tower. Meanwhile, these Thorax swords here at 150 kills, doing a good job of holding back the Dacian Tide, who just throwing all his units in. We got some Axe Warriors, however, pushing through. Not Falksmen, Axe Warriors this time. I actually got it right here. And then we got Dacian heavies, heavy skirmishers, and more heavy bowmen that are mixing into that fight and gonna try and turn the tide, but they're not much against a Thorax sword. and now which is getting help from Thurios spears, so they won't be too dangerous, I don't think. Meanwhile, this noble sword got surrounded but went down in glory. 127 kills after being surrounded by a chosen sword and 2 Galatian legionnaires. It did really good under the circumstances right there. I mean, those units, like I said, they're heavy infantry. They're going to do good under almost any circumstances. That's why Dacia is kind of and kind of not a good beginner faction. It's a good beginner faction because with the Dacian heavy infantry, it's hard to go wrong because it's a very, very good heavy infantry. It's hard to beat. But because you don't have the lower tier infantry, if you're playing with spears as a noob, it's probably not your best. It's probably not your best idea because you're not as experienced enough to do this. Unless, of course, you have experience in other games similar to Total War Rome 2, like if you've played Attila or something like that for a long time, you know the exact or similar gameplay. It's perfectly fine for you to do that. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, even if you haven't, but just saying you're probably good enough to do it because they're so similar. Over here, we've got some chosen swords and Galatian legionnaires holding off the Lusitani nobles who are not making progress. These guys have struggled to take the walls here, and it's all going to be all defenders over here. Meanwhile, reinforcements flooding out of the citadel, mainly coming in Gallic hunters and chosen swords. And I think, yeah, the Sam Knights have moved up. No. Yes. No. Those are hoplites. Where are the Sam Knights? I know I moved them. Oh, there they are. Okay, so here's 2 of the Sam Knights moving up there. And then, where's the third? Where's the third Sam Knight? Did it go over here? No, that's a thorax. What did I do with my third Sam Knight? Okay, so here's 1. Here's 2. That's a archer unit. Well, somewhere in this world there's a third Sam Knight. I'm not going to point him out because I can't find him. But somewhere there's a third Sam Knight doing something. And we wish you knew what. I would try to find him and show you, but I can't find him. I'm losing my own units. So here's some more silver shields and shield bearers moving up out of the woods. And they are good units, but I think this one's just too far gone after Lusitani's getting destroyed and Dacia going down. It's not enough to pull them out, even those elite units. Meanwhile, the cavalry for Lusitani never got a chance to get inside the walls since there was no breach made by the artillery, and the only entrance would be over here by the gate, would be where this gate was broken open. But right now that's held firmly by 2 mercenary veteran hoplites at 179 kills and 82, and those units are also getting javelin fire from the chosen swords there. I think I saw some javelin fire or something. Oh, maybe it was these archers. No? They got 0 kills. I don't know. The Sam Knights up here were throwing down some javelins. They're at 51 kills. Okay, maybe this is my third Sam Knight. Here's 1. Here's 2. Yeah, and here's 3. Yep, that's where it was. Okay, it was throwing down javelins from the gate. I mistook it for a thorax, apparently. And here's another thorax. Here's a real thorax. Firing on the shield bearers, firing javelin volleys down from the walls. That's a problem with marching along next to the wall, since the enemy can do this. They can just line the walls with javelin volleys. Like, if I wanted to, I could tag team 2 units. Have this one here, have another one waiting right here, right to the left of this unit, and then move this one down and just keep tag teaming it, throwing javelins at these guys until they were out, and this unit would be pretty much like out of commission because it was so devastated. I mean, the fire, look at that, he already took 13 casualties. 101 on that thorax now after those javelins volleys were exchanged. Meanwhile, the veteran shields 203 and 101, getting support from the archers here who are now at 26 and climbing as they continue to fire. And here comes some shield bearers. It looks like they might have come up the siege tower, or they were going to, but now they turned and are changing their minds. Okay, more Lusitani units. These are going to be guerrilla warriors. 2 guerrilla warriors and a Lusitani spearman are going to scale the towers and come up and fight the chosen swords that are sitting here waiting for them. I mean, these chosen swords have been all over the place in support of the army, and now they're going to stem the tide of guerrilla warriors and spears. Meanwhile, over here, a Lusitani noble tried to scale the siege towers, got cut off by my Samnite, as well as a Galatian legionnaire, now going to get surrounded by a Galatian nobleman. And now Scutari cavalry moving up. Looks like they're going to try to burn the gate, but most of it is going into the back of that battering ram. Look at this. 0 damage on the gate after the first volley, and 15 on the battering ram. They're burning their own battering ram right here. Look at this. Still 0 on the gate. Okay, there's 1% on the gate for 21% on the battering ram. Wow. They're going to have to burn their own battering ram before they can get to their gate. Before they can get to burn the gate down, it's going to take them a month. But unfortunately, we don't have a month to sit and wait for them to do that. So they're going to have to figure something else out, because I know nobody's going to sit on YouTube and watch as a bunch of horsemen, a bunch of cavalry sit and burn their own battering rams so they can burn down a gate. And continuing, I mean, just now they got 31% on the gate, so they're making 3% on the gate. Sorry, 31% on their own battering ram. I'm getting a hoot out of this. Look at this, it's going up in flames. The gate is still at 4%. People, they need to just dismount and use the battering. One of the units needs to just dismount, pick up the battering ram, and use it to break the gate in. It would be so much faster, and it would save us all a lot of time. Trust me. I know how this ends. Now, the veteran hoplites holding strong against shield warriors, shield bearers. And another scaling attempt coming over here, but it's going to be met by yet more thorax and more mercenary Samnites and more Balearic slingers and more chosen swords. I mean, there's so many different units that are just like swarming here. And it was a great teammate, Araverni, as well as Glacia. We've played a few rounds together. I might display a few more of our rounds because we were on fire as defenders, and we really did a good job, if I do say so myself. And I did say so. So yeah, we're self-proclaimed good, according to me. And if my word holds any power, then okay. The Samnites holding back the shield bearers who were losing and taking fire from the Balearic slingers. However, the thorax here got cut down by the silver shields. And I think this is just they're 2 silver shields, but now those are getting met by an Oathsworn, and with the overwhelming fire now coming from Gallic Hunters also. So, I mean, there's another unit variety to throw in there that's supporting in this defense. I mean, there's so many different types just swarming to stop any breach that is made. Any foothold that the enemy gets is getting shut down immediately by the team here. And the veteran, or the chosen swordsman, doing still a good job of shutting down Lusitani. Meanwhile, the battering ram is burned at 80%. It's taken 80% fire damage and 14% damage, and then 15% damage on the gate. So, I mean, it's going to take them literally a long time until this battering ram is burnt. It's going to be forever until this thing... Okay, so once the battering ram goes down, though, they'll make good progress. But it's just taking them forever to burn their own battering ram. I don't know why they'd want to do that, but... I mean, they could at least move forward or something. I mean, there's got to be a better way around this. Meanwhile, it's choke points here for Seleucid, who's getting shut down by a ton of archer. I mean, just look at all the archer fire pouring into this area right now. It's ridiculous coming from those Balearic slingers and Gallic hunters, just mowing down the shield bearers and then the silver shields, and now some more shield bearers. They're going to attempt the climb. And also some fire from the Celtic slingers going to shut down those... Syrian heavy archers. We're also going to have Hellenic cataphracts. They're going to charge in and try to change this as the mercenary veteran hoplites at 127 and 233. And this right here is the reason I bring these two units every time I play with a faction that has them. Look at this. 128 kills on this unit. 233. This guy still has 34 men left. Green morale. It's still majorly in the fight. And I mean, if you pull this out and rest it, it's still fresh, but they're still fresh. They're both still fresh. But if you would pull them out and cycle charge them or just They'll hold a stable line, and this is why I love those units. I always bring them whenever I get the chance. And meanwhile, over here, I don't even think they got the gate burned, but it looks like they burned their own battering ram. They got done with the battering ram. It's burning down right now. But the Cantabrian cavalry and the Scutari cavalry and every other cavalry kind that was brought by the Iberian cavalry that was brought by Lusitani is routing in mass here. I mean, look at all these guys just like fleeing. There's fleeing in hordes here as they're just going to leave. Now we got a Thorax? No, that's a Sam Knight. We got a Sam Knight chasing him, but he's not going to catch up. Don't worry. And then look at this. Look at the units that are left for the defenders right here. This is just Araverni and a few of Galatia's. I mean, Galatia still has these archers. That's a chosen sword for Araverni. We still got the Oathsworn for Araverni. More Galatian legionnaires here. I mean, this is a wipeout win. The Scorpion at 17 kills. In my whole army, pretty much, here we got Mercenary Sam Knights, Thorax, Thurios. I mean, we still got quite the army left. We got pikemen. My general's still completely intact. That's a Thorax hoplite. Now the general Hellenic cataphracts go down. But yeah, there's just a lot of units left for the defender. This was a blowout win for these for the defenders here. And now we're gonna have these shield bearers should rout really quickly. I mean, they should go out any day now. Any day now. Any day now. Oh, please, just rout. We already know you guys lost. They just won't give up. Neither will the Hellenic cataphracts. They're still in the fight. I mean, these units are resilient. If this unit does not rout in the next 5 seconds, will you guys please subscribe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's an excuse. Now you can go ahead and subscribe because they didn't rout. I mean, you all agreed to it when I said it, didn't you? You really thought they were going to rout. I mean, they're still going. They're still going to go. They don't rout in the next 10 seconds. Will you subscribe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, there. A bonus. 2 extra seconds for you. They still haven't routed. You should have subscribed just for the resilience of that unit. I mean, you have to. You must. Yeah, so please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you didn't already, because these guys would not rout, and they finally went to rout. They finally routed, but now the Hellenic cataphracts are still holding on. If the Hellenic cataphracts don't rout in the next 5 seconds, will you subscribe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There, I gave you an extra bonus 2 seconds there. They still haven't routed. Oh, there they went, just in time. So, if you didn't subscribe for those 2 units not routing in the time allotments, then you should right now because it's just the best thing you can do. I think. Maybe you have something better you can do right now. Anyway, Galatia is Hawk, Cave, Rock. He's going to have 1,471 kills. He's going to be Galatia, and he's going to have 67 on his general, 102 on his Celtic Slingers. Good job by the Celtic Slingers there. Good job by the Mercenary Archers. All around good by the Galatian Legionnaires. I mean, they were pitted against some devastating foes in those noble swords. So, they can't do that great when they're up against such experienced infantry. But, I mean, they did good for what they were pitted against, what they were put up against. Then the Levy Freeman, only 3 kills, but they're Levy Freeman. You don't expect a lot. Then Oxy D Dead is going to be Araverni. He's going to have 0 kills on his general. He's going to come out with 1,630 kills with only 648 losses, and this is really surprising. He suffered like no casualties. He deployed 2,190 men. He got less than 1,000 losses. So less than half of his army died, and he got over 1,500 kills. I mean, this is remarkable. And I mean, he did good. And the Chosen Swords were the bulk of his army, and they did amazing. And the Oathsworn also did good. Total Wars here, Syracuse. I was the top killer for my team, 1,718. 0 on my general, 72 and 133 on my archers. 59, 48 on the Blair Slingers. The Sam Knights did okay. The Mercenary Veterans I mean, I still stick with this unit all the way. I love that unit. They gained 2 chevrons. And yeah, I just love that unit. Then the pikemen, they didn't do anything, actually. They did absolutely nothing. They were bystanders. Bystanders. I said bystanders. Like I said, when I'm doing these videos, I critique the way I talk. Anyway, the thorax swords, you can't really go wrong with the thorax swords. They're just kind of decent. And then the Thurio spears did okay. Now for GT333 SKI, this is going to be Getty. He's going to have 1,007 kills. He's going to have 28 on his general, 50 on his ballista, 5 on his horses. His archers did good. Peltas did okay. I mean, his archers didn't do great, but his archers did okay. The Falksmen did what Falksmen do. They got 15 kills. That, unless they're used perfectly, those units are extremely hard to use correctly. And then the noble swords did good all around. I mean, mostly. There was 32. That's disappointing. Then the spears, those are the cheapest spears. They're like $200. Nobody expected them to do good, and they didn't do good. Only 1 in 4 kills. So, yeah, they didn't do good. No offense. Then Germaniac is going to have 870 kills. He's going to be Lusitani, 46 on his Lusitani Noble General. And then we're going to skip down here to Lusitani Nobles down here. They're going to do okay there. The Lusitani Spearmen are going to do all right. The Ambushers did not so great. The Lusitani Veteran Shields, okay. Balearic Slingers, not good for the level 5 chevron that they had. The Cavalry did awful. I mean, 9 kills for over 6 cavalry units. But they never got inside the walls. They routed before they were able to do anything, and the 9 kills they got were probably people that were routed already, and it didn't really make a difference in the whole matter of the battle. And so Lusitani struggled out with that cavalry. That did not turn out for them. Now, if they would have gotten inside the walls, I'll give him this. If they would have gotten inside the walls and we were still withdrawing to the Citadel, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you would just leave 1 or 2 units to hold, and you slowly withdraw your units, and you start withdrawing, and the enemy is taking over, so they could get the cavalry in, and they could run down our units that are and harass our units that are retreating back to the Citadel. Then they would have been worthwhile. They also could have rear charged the last remaining units. They also can exploit gaps. When the defense of the Citadel, sometimes if you're cycle charging units, you get a gap. Cavalry is really good at exploiting that and can turn it into a win. So if they would have gotten inside the walls, I can see where this cavalry would have been very, very useful, but it just wasn't for under the circumstances when we pinned them against the walls and would not let them inside. Then we're going to have Mohammed, Aminkh. He's going to have 743 kills, and he's going to be the lowest killer for his team. But he was fighting me, he was going to get tag teamed between me and Galatia, so you can't really blame him. He was getting surrounded as soon as he came off the siege towers, so he struggled it out, and I mean, he probably did the best he could with the circumstances. 93 on that Hellenic Cataphract. Amazing job by that Cataphract. Good job by the archers, except for this one here, only 3 kills. That was probably the one that got mowed down by the Celtic Slingers from Araverni. Or, not Araverni, Galatia, the 102 right there, the Celtic Slingers. Then the enemies killed here for Silver Shields. The Silver Shields here, 27, a little disappointing. 91, though, is pretty good. And then the Thorax, like I say, you can hardly go wrong with a Thorax, though. I don't know. I've never really liked Thorax swords, but I've never really entirely hated them. They're good, and yet they're bad at the same time. They can be extremely useful if used correctly, and yet extremely bad if they're used wrong. I mean, that's with any unit, but I'm saying especially with these Thorax, I feel like they're on the tip of a knife. They're on a knife's edge, as you would say. They go back and forth, really. It depends, for me especially, it depends from game to game. And then the Shield Bearers, disappointing right there. 29 and 15, that's just bad for those 2 units. But 77's pretty good for a shield, or for a spear.